Welcome to this explainer. Today we are unpacking a deeply frustrating scenario that honestly, almost everyone who has ever tried to learn something difficult has experienced firsthand. We're looking at the emotional journey of a student named Rahul. Rahul is basically the classic example of someone caught in the trap of what we'll call the illusion of hard work. We're going to look at his exhaustion, his breakdown, and ultimately his massive breakthrough. If you've ever felt like you're putting in absolute maximum effort but getting totally minimum results, well, stick around, because this explainer is going to completely change the way you look at your own habits. It's kind of the ultimate paradox, isn't it? I mean, we're conditioned from a very young age to believe that input directly equals output. If you want better grades, you just need to spend more time with your books. Plain and simple, right? But here is the big question we really need to answer today. Why does studying longer almost never mean scoring higher? Just think about your own experiences with academic burnout for a second. Have you ever spent an entire weekend just staring at a textbook, only to completely blank out on the exam on Monday morning? We're about to entirely dismantle the fundamental myth that time spent sitting at a desk is the exact same thing as actually learning. Okay, let's dive into this and look at Rahul's painful, exhausting daily reality. Rahul was trapped in what we call the hard work illusion. And he was doing what he genuinely thought was right. He was putting his head down and just grinding. Every single day, he was the student who studied longer than absolutely everyone else. He sacrificed his free time, his social life, and his sleep, the whole shebang, all in the pursuit of academic success. To really understand the sheer depth of Rahul's struggle, we have to consider the massive weight of this number, 12 hours. Sometimes he studied for 10 hours, sure, but a lot of times he pushed it to a full 12. Just imagine the absolute volume of time being sacrificed every single day. Literally, half of his day gone. He was pushing his mind and his body to the absolute brink, essentially trying to brute force his success through pure willpower and endurance. He figured, hey, if I just suffer enough, the grades are naturally going to follow. But here is the truly heartbreaking reality of that approach. Despite the 10 to 12 hours of studying, despite the dark circles literally forming under his eyes, and despite the incredibly messy desk piled high with notes and highlighters, his marks never improved. They were completely, totally stagnant. I mean, you can probably imagine that heavy, sinking feeling, right? Getting a test back, knowing you give up your entire week to prepare for it, and seeing the exact same mediocre score just staring right back at you. Now, what's really interesting about this is that meanwhile, in that very same class, there was another student, the class topper. And this topper was only studying for about 4 to 5 hours a day. That is a tiny fraction of the time Rahul was putting in. No all-nighters, no towering stacks of panic-inducing notes. Just 4 calm, focused hours. When we contrast these two realities side by side, it reveals something incredibly frustrating. On one side, you have Rahul's exhausting 12-hour days, defined by chaos, stress, and those stagnant marks. On the other side, we've got the topper's calm, precise 4-hour days, resulting in consistently improving scores. If you're a dedicated learner watching this, that should agitate you. It feels entirely unfair. Like, how on earth can someone do a third of the work and get consistently better results? It totally defies the basic logic of hard work that Rahul was operating under. And this glaring disparity, it led Rahul to a very, very dark place. He started asking himself, how is this possible? Am I just not smart enough? And guys, this is the insidious danger of the hard work illusion. When your immense effort doesn't pay off, you don't blame the method, right? You blame yourself. You start to seriously doubt your own intelligence. If you've ever sat at a desk, hit a brick wall, and felt that heavy wave of imposter syndrome wash over you, then you know exactly the emotional pain Rahul is experiencing right in this moment. But then, one day, Rahul had a massive realization. We're talking a total paradigm shift here. He finally discovered that his so-called 12 hours of studying were merely an illusion of productivity. He wasn't actually focusing. He was engaging in what we call fake studying. He realized the hard way that just sitting at a desk with your books open absolutely does not mean your brain is actually processing or retaining any information whatsoever. Let's break down the exact bad habits that make up this fake studying. And be honest, do you recognize any of these in yourself? First, constant phone notifications. Did you know it takes an average of 23 minutes for your brain to fully refocus after checking just one text message? It completely shattered his concentration. Second, rereading chapters without actually understanding them, just letting his eyes glaze over the text while his mind was a million miles away. And third, simply sitting with his books open but lacking any actual focus. The clock was ticking, the hours were flying by, but most of his study time wasn't real study at all. Let's move to and see how this builds a completely new path forward. Because once Rahul identified the disease of fake studying, he desperately needed a cure. So he abandoned the 12-hour grind entirely and built a new, highly efficient system right from the ground up. He decided once and for all that instead of studying longer, he was going to study smarter. And here is the exact replicable framework of Rahul's brand new routine. Step 1, 25 minutes of deep, completely uninterrupted focus. Step 2, taking planned short breaks to actually let his brain rest and reset. Step 3, utilizing active recall. Step 4, doing practice questions instead of just passively reading. And step 5, the big one, absolutely zero distractions. An organized desk, a timer set, and the phone put entirely away, totally out of sight. This is a blueprint you can literally take and apply to your own work or studies right now, today. So the crucial point is understanding what exactly active recall is. It's the process of actively testing your memory to retrieve information, rather than passively rereading text without really understanding it. Instead of just looking at the textbook and nodding along like, yeah, I know this, you physically close the book and force your brain to generate the answer. This mental strain of retrieving the information is the exact mechanism that cements it into your long-term memory. Think of it like lifting weights, but for your brain. And this brilliantly illustrates why his new method worked so incredibly well. Just one single hour of real, undistracted focus provides maximum impact. It completely crushes 5 hours of distracted, passive, fake studying, which offers minimal impact. Rahul finally learned that learning isn't measured in minutes ticking away on a clock, it's measured in cognitive intensity. It is quality over quantity every single time. Let's walk through the timeline of Rahul's transformation, because it didn't happen overnight. On day 1, he hit rock bottom, but he finally realized his study time wasn't real. By week 1, he was actively implementing those 25-minute focus sessions with zero distractions. Now, it wasn't instant magic. It took slow, steady, intentional effort. But a few months later, his grades improved dramatically. He successfully climbed out of that dark abyss of burnout and returned as a highly effective, thriving student. To summarize this entire journey, the hard work approach took 12 agonizing hours and yielded stagnant grades and total, utter exhaustion. The smart work approach? That took only 4 hours and yielded vastly improved marks. But honestly, perhaps the most important outcome is that final point, massive confidence. The true victory for Rahul wasn't just getting a better report card. The biggest game changer was that for the first time in his entire life, studying no longer felt like an impossible mountain to climb. He reclaimed his time, and more importantly, he reclaimed his self-belief. Most people out there think success naturally comes from just doing more. More hours, more pages, more late nights fueled by caffeine. But as we've seen, real success actually comes from focused, intentional effort. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. I want you to look at your own habits, your own daily routines, and ask yourself honestly, are you just studying hard? Or are you finally ready to study smart?